Hello, book nerds! We're here with another book review today. Are you excited? I'm excited. Let me just tell you, it's been a little while since I've read anything that I didn't hate. So I bet all of you are starting to think that I only talk about books that I didn't like. Well, spoiler alert, I actually liked this one, so you're welcome for that. That book is A Darker Shade of Magic, and let's read the synopsis on Goodreads. Kel is one of the last Antarai, a rare magician who can travel between parallel worlds, hopping from Grey London, dirty, boring, lacking magic and ruled by Mad King George, to Red London, where life and magic are revered, and the Maresh dynasty presides over a flourishing empire, to White London, ruled by whoever has murdered their way to the throne, where people fight to control magic, and the magic fights back. And back. But never Black London, because traveling to Black London is forbidden and no one speaks of it now. Officially, Kel is the personal ambassador and adopted prince of Red London, carrying the monthly correspondence between the royals of each London. Unofficially, Kel smuggles for those willing to pay for even a glimpse of the world they'll never see, and it is a dangerous hobby that sets him up for accidental treason. Fleeing into Grey London, Kel runs afoul of Delilah Bard, a cut-purse with lofty aspirations. She robs him, saves him from a dangerous enemy, then forces him to take her with him on a proper adventure. But perilous magic is afoot, and treachery lurks at every turn. To save both his London and the others, Kel and Lila will first need to stay alive, a feat trickier than they had hoped. Okay, so let's talk about this book. I feel like the synopsis was pretty honest. It did leave out quite a few key details that might be spoilery, so that's always nice. First, I want to say that I had so much trouble with Kel as his name, as the name of a male character, because I have also recently been reading The Protector of the Small series by Tamara Pierce, which is amazing. Go read it. The main character in that is a woman, and her name is also Kel, so I kept forgetting that Kel was the male character in these stories, and it just kept throwing me. That's not the fault of the book at all. That's completely me and my brain. But yeah, I felt I would share that oddness. So let's talk about the plot. As I said, I really did like this book, but this book was honestly this close to getting me to set it down. I didn't really know anything about this book coming in. I wanted to go in blind. I was nervous about V.E. Schwab because I know that she is so fucking beloved. And I was terrified that I was going to come into this book and I was going to hate it, and then everyone would hate me even more because I can't seem to do anything but shit all over everybody's favorite books. Fortunately, I did like it, but I was so close to giving up because the beginning is slow. It is a very slow burn at the beginning. This can be frustrating to me as a writer because in my own writing I have to get rolling right away and I don't get that leeway to have a slow beginning. But that's just me. It did a lot of world building before we got to the main conflict, and I have a little bit of problem with that in books. Kinshu knows that I'm wearing a dark color and her fur will show up great against this. That's why she's here. Anyway, I have a problem with books that take a really long time to get you to what the main conflict is. I don't care if you tell me what the main conflict is going to be and then you meander for a while. I just want to know why I'm here. Why am I reading this book? Kel goes through all of these Londons just like on his business, a day in the life of Kel, which takes quite a while before we actually get to the business, the real business, the plot of this book. And we also meet Delilah and follow her around for a while, and it's okay, it gets us to know the characters, but I felt like it could have been done a lot more concisely and a lot of stuff could have been left out, so I wouldn't have been about to give up on this book because I thought we were never going to get to what the main conflict was. The main conflict itself can feel a little bit convoluted. There are a lot of things coming together from all of these different angles, and I wouldn't say it's confusing, but you have to be paying attention. You can't zone out. This book was definitely building up, and I feel like it's building up not only towards the end of this book, but towards the future books, which I am excited to read. The only thing that disappointed me a little bit was there is, of course, a climactic fight at the ending, and it didn't feel as climactic as it could. I feel like some of the fights earlier in the book were actually better than the fight at the end of the book. However, I did like that this story wrapped up enough. I hate it when books in a series just leave everything hanging. And this did it. It tied up some ends, and it made others, and I'm definitely interested to read more, but if I never continued for whatever reason, I wouldn't feel like I had been completely robbed of reading a story, because so many books that know they're going to have sequels just don't bother even wrapping up anything at the end of book one, and that drives me crazy. I am of the school where I believe that every book should be able to stand on its own, even if it is part of a series. Call me crazy, but that's what I think. Okay, now let's talk about my favorite part of any book, and that is the characters. Ugh, I love characters so much, you know that about me. And at first when I met Kel and Lila, I thought both of them were okay. Kel is a cool, interesting mage character. Delilah is a cut purse who disguises herself as a man a lot of the time, and she's kind of proud of her reputation as this, like, thief that everybody wants to catch in her version of London. And it's cool, but, like, neither of them impressed me terribly much on their own. And then, once we finally got to the main conflict, Kel and Delilah's paths crossed, and they finally got together as, not as a romantic couple, but just as a couple of characters. And oh my gosh, I loved every frickin' second of it. I had the biggest, stupidest smile on my face every time Kel and Lila interacted. They were made to go together. They're like two pieces of a puzzle. The sass levels were through the roof. I loved it. And neither of the characters felt compromised in their character when they were together. It just seemed like their two personalities just worked. One thing I didn't like was near the beginning of the book we get to know Kel and that she has an adventurous side, and for some reason she has been living in a ship, an old ship, which can't even go to sea anymore. It's just old, it's sitting at the dock. And she's been living there with this guy. And almost immediately, after we're introduced to the concept of this guy, he's super drunk and tries to sexually assault her, and she has to kill him, and that sets her out on her journey. And you guys know that I have a problem with sexual assault as a motivator for women to do anything. And I know it didn't really motivate her to be adventurous, but the reason she went on her journey is because this guy attacked her. And I honestly wish that we had skipped that completely. Just cut out the part where she's living with this guy on the ship. Cut that out, cut out that character. He's useless, he's one note, get rid of it all, and just start her out living at an inn where she has an interesting relationship with the innkeeper, because she ends up there in no time anyway. Skip the cliched sexual assault scene. We don't need it to know that Lila is a badass. Speaking of badasses, Kel gets the shit kicked out of him 5 ways from Sunday in this book. Now, it is explained that because he is good at blood magic, he heals faster than most people. But he doesn't have like a Wolverine-esque healing factor where he heals immediately, and I was kind of annoyed that many of his injuries, while they carried over, did not ever usually hinder him in what he was trying to do. They only hindered him when they really needed to for the story, and I felt that was a little bit convenient. Like, you can't forget that he's been stabbed until a little while later when he remembers that he's been stabbed for some reason. He's stabbed that whole time. This is the problem. And at the end of the book, both characters are so beaten all to hell, I was wondering how either of them were even conscious. And again, that's another one of my pet peeves. I don't want to have to suspend my disbelief for what the human body can take. One thing I love about Lila is that she loves to wear men's clothing. She prefers to wear men's clothing, but she doesn't identify as male or anything like that. She just prefers men's clothing. She goes into a store to buy some fancy clothes for reasons, and she immediately gravitates toward the nice coats. That kind of thing, which I can totally understand because, guys, I have a coat collection. Maybe I'll show it to you at the end of this video. I'm so on board with you, Lila. Nice coats, greater than fancy dresses, any day. And so she's like coat, top hat, dapper gentleman look going on, and I really liked that because It's becoming a trend, I'm noticing, with a lot of these tough girl stories, where the girl may be a badass, but we also don't want to forget that she likes to wear poofy, pretty dresses. And that's fine, because a lot of girls in real life are badasses and like to wear poofy, pretty dresses. But I think we need to say that it's okay if you're a girl and you prefer to wear men's clothes. That's fine. And I love Lila for that. I love that she stands by that and just has her own style. And Kel is totally on board with that style. It's awesome. I always love the dynamic of the kind man who is forced to do bad shit, and we have that going on with Kel. He's really a nice guy, and because he's one of the only, like, mages left in all of the worlds that he travels to, he is forced to do some things that he normally would never have chosen for himself to do, and I love that dynamic. I also enjoy Kel's relationship with his adoptive family. It's great to see him getting on with his brother and having a relationship, even if it's sort of a troubled one, with his adoptive parents. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I am definitely going to be reading more of the books in the series, especially if they come out as recorded books so that I can listen to them, because you know that I don't have a lot of time in my life for regular reading, but I do listen to a lot of recorded books because of my job. I definitely recommend A Darker Shade of Magic. I mean, I cannot rave enough about how when Lila and Kel got together, I was just the happiest camper in the world. So, have you read A Darker Shade of Magic? What did you think about it? Leave a comment below, let me know, let's talk about it. For once, I don't have to ask you whether you loved the book because I hated it. Isn't that nice? It's so nice. And don't forget, if you like what you see here, if I genuinely bring you enjoyment, like, subscribe, blah blah blah, but please share with your friends. You guys are the best. I'll see you again next time when I'll do whatever the heck kind of video I want. Bye!